Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a fabulous Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. Shout out everybody who's still fasting. May Allah continue to embolden you to a path of correctness, but also also. Oh, wait a minute. It's so funny. You know, sometimes when you're trying to do live stuff, you mess up. So I messed up. But let me get to my point of what I was talking about. Today is a little bit of a different show. I've been watching really about a 6-month period, a 6-month window. I've really been watching what's been going on in the Muslim community, and a lot of what we're not seeing now, and outside of what we're seeing in Gaza, things like that, is that before October 7th, there was a large jump percentage-wise in the amount of people who were taking Shahada. I mean, it seems like every Juma somebody was taking Shahada. Philadelphia, Houston, DC, people are taking Shahada, and I was really wondering what that thing was. And then, of course, it's just totally jumped with the whole Gaza situation after October the 7th. Notable people, Harvard professors, actors, activists, and the like. And just recently, Little John, hip-hop guy, Little John actually took his Shahada, and I think it was interesting because he took his Shahada at King Farouk Masjid in L.A., and it was interesting that, you know, it wasn't an African-American masjid. This guy was like, I want whatever version of Islam I can get at this point in time to have it in my life. You know, we've had other conversions, Kyrie Irving, people like that. But I think the thing that I thought was really, really interesting was in doing the homework. Let's say that we did the homework for the last 3 years in the context of why people are coming to Islam. People are coming to Islam for a number of reasons. Of course, you know, you can give the I think one of the most profound reasons that people have found that Islam reconciles with how they are dealing with present day and contemporary life. That in the midst of a political election season, if you will, that people are not looking for political answers to their problems. They're looking for spiritual answers. And the religion that stands out turns out to be the religion that's been dogged and in many ways castigated from American society. It is Islam, which is, and for lack of a better word, a religion that came and refused to leave. Whether we go back to the first Africans who came here, or immigrants, or the revitalization in the 1920s of Black Islam as a protest movement, what we've begun to see, brothers, is that people are redefining life and they're doing it through the prism of Islam. Now, let's be real clear. People are not coming in and becoming Hafizzes in the first 2-3 weeks. What folks are doing is making this investment. And I think it has to do with the fact that, you know, it's not them accepting Islam. We're taking adherents who are willing to fight for this religion. So we have a new class of folks who are willing to fight for this religion. You say, why? Because these people are coming off the street. They're coming off the street. They're coming out of these situations, these jobs, these careers, feeling that the fight for Islam is real. And why is it real? Well, you could say back in the 20s and 30s, it was a fight for Islam. It wasn't a conversion to Islam. I personally would say that I converted to Islam because that's the language. I fought to be a Muslim. I fought to be a part of this universal community. And it was vitally important to me because I framed that as a must-have, if you will. I framed it as a must-have in the context of, you know, how I win. You know, how I win. You know, I'm working on this talk for tomorrow. For Friday. And someone interviewed Mother Teresa. You guys remember Mother Teresa. And they asked her how she was successful. They asked Mother Teresa, how were you so successful? She says, I was not called to be successful. She said, I was called to be faithful. She didn't say I was called to be successful. She said I was called to be faithful. And I think what is interesting is everything we see, that people are in a rush to be successful, but they have no faith. You can take the larger arguments of the upcoming political election, the larger arguments of Gaza and Zionism, but they all have one thing in common, that their success is not tied to any ideology of faith. There is no higher power that drives them, of which that they will look to. Because if you look to it, it means that in some regards you have to acknowledge, for lack of a better word, you got to acknowledge that you didn't get there on your own. That somehow, somewhere, what you're doing is not of your own doing. We talk about Islam, right? We talk about Islam, and I studied comparative religions when I was in high school, and I studied some of them when I was in college. And I remember studying Judaism, which is an Abrahamic faith, no doubt. But what was interesting was there was a turn, there was a movement after the Holocaust where our Jewish brothers and sisters at the time literally put themselves on the space that said that for what had happened to them, that God cannot be forgiven. That they would not forgive God. God could not be forgiven for the Holocaust, which is mind-blowing. That you have it in yourself that you're not going to forgive God. And I began to look at it in an even broader scope, because now you have people who are doing the exact same thing. That this whole Trump MAGA nation, brothers and sisters, is a people who have vowed themselves and disciplined themselves to be godless. Thus, success is all that matters. Faith has nothing to do with it. That they say, faith is empty, faith is absent with these people. And I've said this before. What do you do when a person doesn't believe in the person who gave them the concept of belief, of free will, of saying, listen, these are the things that are in your path. How you assemble them for good or bad, that is up to you, but there are consequences. There are wins and losses. So listen, I'm going to take a break. I'm sorry I ran long. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about the fight for Islam is real, and it's now here in the ShOUT Show. I'm Preacher Moss. Don't you move. Cool. So listen, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out. ShOUT Show family. Sister Reed from Houston. How you doing? Assalamu alaikum. Sister Reed, hope you're doing well. Peace and blessings to you, Brother Derek, Brother Juwan. Thank you for tuning in. I'm main man, Altar for Sheep, better known as Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. He is the ambassador, the Canadian ambassador to the show, a quality control person for this side of the border and that side of the border. Brother, good to see you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And of course, we have Sister Satana. Thank you, Sister Satana, without which the show just doesn't work. It works, but it works so much better when you're here. Peace and blessings to you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think we had some people in the Instagram world. Wow, I think, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Satana will work with me on that. I can't actually get to everybody, but I appreciate you. Okay? All right. I'll come in and shout you guys out as well. So let me frame this discussion, because it's not argument, it's discussion. It's really, really interesting. It has to do with this whole idea of suffering. For many years, white supremacy was built on the fact that white people felt that, black people were destined to suffer, and it was their job to make sure that we suffer. They call it theodicy. That's Theodicy. Theodicy. And this whole idea that this black suffrage is, it's normal. That there's divine revelation and benefit for whites causing pain, causing oppression of blacks, that this was in the Bible, that God said that this was okay. And this was the way it was for a lot of years, because people say, how can people walk around and see this type of oppression day in, day out, know what it is? Because they felt that they were doing it in a divine way, in some regards, that people were bringing us closer to God by oppressing us. In a weird way, they did. But I think, okay, we'll give a shout out. IG, let's see, my glasses are really bad here. Ali Akar 11, alhamdulillah. JT, little brother, what's going on, brother? And we got BB in the city. Salam to all. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I know we got some more. Let's see. Farishi, Ali Bobo, Darbo's family. That nurse Halima, how you doing? Halima, I'm also Muslim like y'all. I'm from Gambia. Shout out. Salman Malik, comedian. How you doing, beloved? Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah to all of y'all. We're gonna keep shouting you guys out. Satana, why don't you just put them up in the space, and then I don't have to stop the stream. We could just put them in the stream and give them their shout outs. So let me throw this out. That this whole idea, this concept of theodicy, has to do with suffrage that God has said is okay, that God has pre-approved, preordained. And it's interesting because it didn't just, be acted upon with African Americans. It also happened to Native Americans. Wherever Europeans went, this idea of theodicy, there's a book, it's God of white racist, it's God of black racist. Either way, it was this whole idea that it's the centering, if you will, is that it was okay. And it wasn't until the 20s and the 30s where blacks began to break out of this spot. And Islam, in particular, said that this theodicy was not correct. That why God has goodness and can preside and coexist in a world that has evil in it, it's because it's a plan. That Allah has a plan. But what it also said is that the people who are doing this evil are not to be exonerated. That these people are wrong and evil. And that's what Islam said. Going back to the 20s, 30s, and 40s, if you want to know why people didn't like the Nation of Islam, is Nation of Islam was one of the first religions to point out, yes, I'm oppressed, and you are the oppressor. And they spelled it out. WHITE society. That's what it was. And now you have a renaissance, if you will. That Islam is very diverse. That the days of Malcolm and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are gone. That people can't think that way anymore for fear of being ostracized, for fear of being, castigated, for being canceled, if you will. That people feel like I'm afraid to say that. And because of that, in the last year, you've had a countercultural movement against MAGA. And the countercultural movement against MAGA has been these Muslims or these people coming from their various stations in life saying, Islam is the thing I need to align with to combat and in many ways interpret the world around me. When I made that comment about Mother Teresa saying, she was not called to the world to be successful. God didn't call her to be successful. God called her to be faithful. That's a heavy statement, people. That's a heavy statement. Because we are called to be faithful. In the month of Ramadan, we're called to be faithful and to be reminded to be reminded. Every ayat that you say, every word of Quran that you recite, every rekat for Taraweeh, it is a reminder that we are called to be faithful. And the failing of Muslim society in America is that you're too concerned about being successful. We are people who are built, conditioned, framed, and oriented on being faithful. That is what makes us different from so many other people, organizations, and in some cases, some religions. Now, this may sound weird or whatever, but white supremacy is a religion. It's a cult. It's a religion. It is propagated in places where you are not invited. It is prophesized in places where you're not able to debate what's being said. In the closed catacombs, if you will, these people have developed an entire ministry that's based on the fact that they want to bring back this theodicy that I talked to you about. This willingness to cause people suffering because they believe that God has ordained them to do it. And you have these feelings and these occurrences, these events, they're not inconsequential. They are part of a situation. We're watching people die in front of us. On TV, police brutality. You're watching people die in front of us. And the thing that's interesting is there's a constituency that says it's okay. There's a constituency that says we're supposed to be able to do that. The whole idea of changing history and narrative in textbooks is to lay the foundation for people to come. I say the fight for Islam is real here and is now, and it's real because we've been in it for the last 15 years, for 20 some years, brothers and sisters, over 20 some years. When I was a young comedian and I had just taken my Shahada, it was interesting to see how people reacted to me back in the 90s, the late 1980s, in the 90s when you said Muslim. People would recoil. People were nervous when you walked on. When I was a Muslim comedian, I walked on stage, not at these events, but in bars, in concert halls. And I said I'm Muslim, or worse, I took the stage with a kufi on. And I said I was Muslim. And while it may seem that I was naive, I thought that this is what I was supposed to do, that my audience should understand that the definition of a Muslim is what I'm trying to do. I'm not executing and being perfect. I'm not perfect. But even at the very base roots, brothers and sisters, it caused nervousness. And at every level of trying to learn more about my religion, it caused more and more consternation and nervous attitude. You want to see society angry? Get a group of Muslims together that are well-meaning, educated, praying, and they're not angry. They're not angry. The call to prayer in the Adhan, come to prayer, come to success, come to success. Success only follows in the attribute, in the action of a practice and expression of faith. And right now, people are trying to take it away. They're trying to take it away. The cold part is, if you go after Islam, it means you're going after the other religions. They just don't know it. You see, Islam has a very specific vernacular about faith and institution building. Faith and institution building. A khutbah can happen anywhere. Listen to what I'm saying. A khutbah can happen anywhere. As long as you have the resolute amount of bodies, it's official. You want to have a church service, you can't have it in the middle of the street. There needs to be a foundation and a building and things of that nature. A house. But look how free and open and accessible that the religion is. And as we move towards November, for lack of a better word, that's what we're calling it, the presidential election, you have two proponents who have mastered understanding success. But it goes, and the reason they mastered it is because it goes nowhere near faith. How do you represent people of faith when you have no faith? Well, you're about to find out. Over and over and over and over again, we said this. I've said this, that, in this state, we need to separate from those who do not have faith. Not that they're bad people, but they may not mean you harm, but they can do you no good. All they can do is become a faith drain. And things that you're seeing on TV are designed to diminish your faith. One of the most happiest projects I've ever been a part of was All It Made Me Funny. I was just talking to Brother Azim, shout out Azim, about one of our first shows that we had in Chicago at Zany's Comedy Club. And we had a great show. People came out and went over to some pizza spot off of, it's like the Indian part of town. I can't remember the name of the street or whatever. But we went there for pizza, halal pizza. And I remember myself, JT, Azhar Isman, Azim, I think Sakai Sandiford, we were all happy about the show, and All It Made Me Funny was new, and people came to Zany's, they prayed. It was this thing, it was this vibe, this energy. And there was a brother there, and we didn't know him, but we, of course, hey, assalamu alaikum, brother. And Azim, Azim being Azim, he jumped up. He's in the nation there, and he was like, started talking a little bit about the nation. And the brother looked at him and turned away like this. And Azim was right there. He was like trying to give the brothers, Islam, but the brother knew he was in the nation of Islam. He turned away like this. His whole back to him. And then he did like this. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to talk to the real Muslims. And Azhar got so upset that he charged the guy. And I'm like, I don't know if Azhar really knows that this dude got about 6-7 people with him, and it could be a problem. But I've been in a lot of fights. I've been in fights before. So I slowly took my glasses off and put them in my sock because I'm thinking nobody's going to punch me in the calf if we get in a fight. And JT was there. The fight never happened. But the show of unity of African-American Muslim from the Nation of Islam, and Indian Muslim from the immigrant community, the show of fellowship was so strong that it resonates to this day. The demise of Allah Made Me Funny, and I love my brothers, but let's call it what it was. The demise was when people put success in front of faith. Things cannot peacefully coexist. And as we stand here and talk about this concept, there are people coming to Islam because they're willing. These are willing adherents to fight for this religion. And that's the thing I want to say. These are not just converts. These are people willing to fight. These are people who are, they're not coming from destitute situations. They're not depressed. These are people of means. These are people of status. These are people who are going, no. This is the intellectual capacity I bring to the religion. And now it becomes, why? Why are they doing that? So we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about why people are ready to fight for Islam and why it's now. Preacher Mars Shout Out Show. Don't you move.
Tarife Atar. The scent of enlightenment. A gentle reminder that air, water, and fire indeed are life-giving essences. appreciate the intersection of time and luxury. Magnify your essence. Tarife Attar.
All right, we're back. So, someone popped this question to me, and I want to answer it really, really quickly before I get back to the topic. The question was, were we going to have the we're not doing, of course, we're not doing Preacher Moses Ramadan 30 for 30 this year for a lot of reasons. And I hope you guys don't mind. It's a lot of personal reasons, some health issues. But people say, hey, Preacher, we're going to have a virtual iftar. And the answer to that question is yes. I will be giving out stipends for those who want to join us. Tune in actually next week, and I will give you all the information. Let me see if I can do it myself. Satana just stepped away for a minute. Okay, here's what you do. If you're interested in joining us for our virtual iftar, what I do is I give out $25 towards your iftar. So what you do is email permissiblelaughter@gmail. Email permissiblelaughter@gmail. And what we do is I'll get your information from you, your Zelle or your Cash App, and I will send you $25 towards your iftar. Now, some of you may not want to do that, and some people have said in the past what they would like to do is donate the $25. Feel free to do what you want to do. However you want to get your blessing, get your blessing. But we will be doing the Shout Out Show virtual iftar this year. So I put it up there, permissiblelaughter@gmail.com. Let's get your information, your Zelle or whatever, and we do $25. This year we'll be doing $25 towards. Now I know $25 doesn't buy a lot, but just for a little iftar, maybe breath mints, mouthwash. It's all right. We don't mind. So make sure you check that out. That's permissiblelaughter@gmail to get your iftar stipend. Okay, and I do send it out. We do send it out. Okay, so listen. I said the fight for Islam is real and is now. I gave you a couple components of the argument. One of which is this return now in terms of white supremacy and MAGA organization. The MAGA movement, if you will, is largely built upon this ideology of theodicy, which is, God allows for suffering, and okay, he allows for suffering, but there are people who feel as though they have a right to produce the suffering, to inject suffering on other folks. And that is the thing that we're going to be talking about probably in the next show. But I say that because now this is the religion that fights back. This is the religion that reframes theodicy. That we say that, even if there's evil in the world, it's only because Allah has a plan for it. That we bring a particular type of logic and reasoning to this situation. We don't excuse the evil. No, we are called, again, to fight against oppression. But you can't fight against oppression if it isn't there. You can't fight against evil if it isn't there. And our job in this religion is perfectly aligned to go out and do these things. While there's this conflation that if you don't follow Zionism, that you're anti-Semitic and all this type of stuff, and the whole conundrum of Zionism trying to conflate Judaism. It's a very clear choice with Islam, an extremely clear choice with Islam. We don't let ourselves off the hook. Hear me now. We don't let ourselves off the hook. If we let ourselves off the hook, it would be like I talked about, groups coming out of the Holocaust believing that God should not be forgiven for the Holocaust, that they won't forgive God. I'm like, but you're not God. Well, now you have the same thing now. Happening in the rural areas of America, these small farms and these little towns where people are not exposed to other ideas. That the whole idea of theodicy becomes doable and meaningful for certain folks because they feel like, and history has shown them, that you can do it. You've already done it. And this is the only religion that lines up against it, brothers and sisters, that says, no, you can't do it. No, it is not acceptable. The genius of Malcolm X and Honorable Elijah Muhammad, calling the white man the devil and all of that, and we laugh about it, they were correct. It was demonic. And they called the proponents of this activity and these actions demonic in a loud, bold, expressive way. Not to be condescending, not to be mean, but to be clear that the roof was on fire, that the house that we are living in is burning, calling attention to urgency to things that have been happening and demanding change. Islam did that. And even the other religions, and this is no knock. I was Christian, but I wasn't enthusiastic about it back in the day. I wasn't. I didn't see with Christianity change the condition of the people around me. Where people wanted to fight for this religion. How do you fight for this religion? Many of the ways people fight for religion is they want to be good at it. They want to please Allah because that strengthens the ranks. And I thought it was really, really, I have a friend, I make a joke about him, Abdullah Black. Abdullah was a drug dealer, used to smoke weed even when he was Muslim. Abdullah's in his 60s now, and he is amazing. He's amazing. He swears by this religion. Nothing else could help him. Not prison, not drugs, not women, not stealing, not hustling, not pimping. Nothing could change his behavior except this religion. And the trade-off now is that he fights for it. He fights for Islam for his family. He fights for Islam for his community. We all fight in our own way for Islam, for it to be present, for it to be vibrant, and for it to be relevant. We do that. No other religion has to do that. And because no other religion has to do that, we shine. We shine. So look, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have been amazing. I know it's easing up on iftar on the East Coast, so make sure you get in the last couple minutes of meditation. We appreciate you. Let me throw this back up here. If you are interested in a stipend for your iftar, this is your independent iftar. And sometimes we have people come on the show. I know last year we talked about what you have for iftar. Listen, go to permissibleafter@gmail.com. In the subject section, put iftar stipend. Okay? And send that, and we'll look at it, and I'll talk to Sister Satana, and we'll work on getting you your stipend, all right? So listen, you guys have been great. I appreciate you. Man, you've been amazing. Thank you guys for joining. Shout out to everybody on IG. Man, we got a whole lot of people on IG. Thank you guys so much, man. Okay. Well, I can't go through everybody. Oh, my man, Abustani. What's up, Bubba? Adele G, my main man. Darbones family. Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister Zara. Ali Frashidi. Ali Babo. Man, we got a lot of folks. Ash Hashimi. My main man, Ahmed Khatib, little brother, what's going on, man? My homeboy from Bayan, Islamic Graduate School, Jihad Turk, uh, Ali, my main man, Ali. He's working on a documentary on your brother, Preacher Moss. Got a lot of folks on here, man. Thank you guys for just showing up. And let me say this NOI and Worthy Muhammad have always been anti Arab and have been hostile to those that follow my devs when I was in prison, and I can't associate with them. I'm sorry about that, Vito. I don't know what that's all about, but um, I don't know what that's all about, bro. But in this time, I would emphasize even more than fasting. Please try to make peace with your brothers. Okay, try to make peace with your brothers. Okay, appreciate it. So in prison is not the best place to be making friends either. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have been great. I appreciate you. Much love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you next week.